Okay. Okay, so we're clearing out this area. So we begin with cutting down trees. Uh, Rather recently, as we'll start talking about stuff while we're doing this. So, where do I start? Okay, so flea markets. Not sure if many of you have gone to one. But I'll tell you this much: I love flea markets. Everything's so cheap. You could go ahead and hunt, and I used to do it all the time, specifically for retro video games. However, due to the goodness of the pandemic and people now using Google for everything, it's very, very hard to get a good deal, aka scam someone out of their money. But it's still possible. Not impossible, but just rather unlikely you're able to do it. So for retro video games, it's kind of like a no-no. It's impossible. People know what they're selling. People know what they're worth. So kind of sad that is the case. But I'm also happy for people who sell. They get more value out of more bang for their goods. Bad for me, because I like deals, but because of Google, I can't have deals. Or actually, they always go for eBay, weirdly enough. So, going back to the original thing I was talking. So, I went to flea market, ended up, just browsing around. Haven't been there in a while. Met up with somebody who hasn't been there in a while either, who's like a seller. Whenever they started selling, I was there and we just kept at it. Ended up talking. We're in like a we're like in a friends relationship, I think. At least in my opinion, but we don't really hang out outside of like him selling. We just know each other and talk about like what the fuck's we've been either one of us has been doing. It's kind of like one of those weird friendships. Like you're more than acquaintances, more than strangers, but like not exactly in a super friends, I guess. Oh, ended up talking to that guy. He had like a couple of games. I didn't see anything I wanted. Okay, okay, goodbye, skeleton. I didn't see anything I truly wanted. He started selling anime figures, which I don't know how I feel about that. Like he was like my hookup. He was like the one for video games for the longest time. Like he sold it all to the pandemic, like literally everything. Like I'm like, yeah, it's great. And then fast forward 2 years later, he's like, damn, I should have kept all that stuff. It's worth a lot more now. And to be fair, I did buy a lot from him during the pandemic, specifically PlayStation Vita games, because nobody was ever selling them. This was before pandemic. Nobody was selling them before pandemic. Nobody wanted them before pandemic. I'm here, okay, sure, I'll take them. I've always been meaning to get a Vita, and my friend was like the Vita person. He had a Vita since launch. It was one of those fancy OLED models, which are worth a lot now. Sadly, I cannot afford it. Well, I can, but I cannot rightfully spend that money without feeling bad. So it's not really like I can't afford it. I can afford most games that are being sold. Maybe like a couple I couldn't. Like some stupid like the NES golden cartridges. Hey, oh no, I would not be able to afford it, even if I sold all of the stuff I own. Maybe then I could afford it actually, but even I don't think it's gonna be worth it. I mean, I don't find enjoyment out of it. I never really collected for the value of stuff. Mostly just it's more of a hoarding thing. It's not really. It's more like buying to have stuff. But I am trying my best. I mean, you've seen it, like playing Zelda, playing other stuff. I'm actually trying to go to the backlog and buying like less of like modern games. Since like whatever, I'll get it later when it's on like sale. They always go on sale, except Nintendo. We don't talk about Nintendo. They go up. Weirdly enough, they're like the only ones where like the value goes up as time goes on. Not so much for Switch games since it's actually selling. Was it that originally? Right, never got to the point. So, at the flea market, there you go. We're finally getting to the point of the whole tangent, everything that started. Heck, did I not get the sapling? Also, do trees not drop apples? Am I just like crazy? Or are they like hyper rare? What the heck is going on? I have not gotten a single apple. Look at this little cave. Ooh, look, mushroom. Mushroom, mushroom, mushroom. We like mushrooms. Don't take that out of context. Okay, though. So at the flea market, I end up seeing what's it called? What do you call these things? A record player, a vinyl player. Not really sure how people call them. Just gonna call it a record player because it's kind of the only way I know or I knew what it was called. Oh, that's a lot of clearing you have to do. So I ended up buying. I found one for like $20. It was super cheap, and the guy was playing it. It worked fine. We cannot make another one. All right, let's go back home. It worked fine. I'm like, okay, cool. I bought it, $20. Like, I've always been meaning to get a record player. Mostly because a lot of video game music apparently is releasing in vinyl. Which I know people will be like, oh, why do you like why would you buy a vinyl? It's like, well, I just like stuff. It's weird to just like stuff. That's like all manual and stuff. Not like press play done. Not like you gotta make sure you don't touch any of the grooves. Gotta make sure about that. You have to make sure no dust gets on it, and if dust happens, clean it off as soon as you're able to. And it's a lot more of a hassle. Like I feel like I've been babied so much with modern technology. It's like I kind of want to struggle just a tad bit, a little bit of inconvenience. Which would be like, damn, first world problems. Like, well, kind of. I'm kind of weird. So a lot of people will be like, oh yes, touchscreen, slimmer, better. And I'm like, well, I would like a physical mechanical button. Which I guess is just like ingrained to me since I've always had hand-me-downs. So I've always liked like physical buttons. Like when the iPhone got rid of its button, I'm like, damn, can't get the new iPhone. I only had like one iPhone, but even then, it's like, damn, I like my buttons. For the longest time, I guess Android had buttons as well, but even they got removed most of them. There's still a couple with buttons, not a lot of them. But it's like the super cheap, maybe $60 phones. And even then, I don't think they have buttons. So I got myself a record player. And I kind of just like the reason I even bought it was because it looked weirder than other record players that I've seen so far. It's one of the ones where you just sort of it's funny. It's like I like buttons. I like to struggle, and then it's like, okay, so like this record player, you don't have to struggle. You don't have to set the toner. You don't have to deal with any of it. Like it's the most convenient, unconvenient way to listen to a record. You sort of pop in the disc or the vinyl, and it just plays. It's like a little tone arm. It just sort of like pops in it from the top, and does aesthetes. So like the little stylus thing. They had to explain. So okay, so here's the record, right? Yeah, let's explain it. Here's the record, and I don't have another thing. Well, I got this, and here's the stylus. I guess imagine that this thing is like above it rather than like off to the side like this. It goes like from here to there rather than like from there to here. And I'm like, oh, that looks different from all of them. And I just had this gut feeling, like, you know what? I feel like that one's a little too good for like only 20 bucks. I'll go ahead and buy it. The person sending the record player was also sending a cassette deck, which sadly, I mean, it works kind of for the most part, but it doesn't output audio through the RCA jack. So the yellow, white, and red outputs. Well, I guess it would just be red and white. So it doesn't output any audio through that, which is a little annoying because I was planning on like just playing it, you know, through my speakers system. Like, oh hey, cool, I can get both for the price of one. I ended up spending $30 to get both. That wasn't too much more than just getting the vinyl record, or the record player. So when I ended up getting it, the record player worked fine. What I did notice, however, that I thought was a little bit weird. Well, to be fair, it's just weird in general. There's like a lot of tutorials out there, like, oh yeah, I have the tone arm. Here's the thing to measure its weight on the stylus. I'm here like, oh, mine doesn't do that. It just sort of works, which is a bit concerning, considering a lot of people say, oh, you don't need to, you need to make sure it doesn't press it too hard down. It would ruin it. It's like, well, I can't. I literally cannot check. To save my life, I cannot check it if I want to. Maybe there is a way, but I looked up the manual online. It doesn't tell me any way to adjust it. I guess for those of you guys, actually, what did he explain? I could just say the model. It's a Technics SL-BL3. So it's SL-BL3. It's like right next to me. So you can go ahead and Google that. And I tried looking up manuals, which apparently for some of them you have to like sign up and register, make an account, which is kind of messed up because I went to the website, it says make an account, and then it says, yeah, people can't make an account right now. I was like, what do you mean? Then let me use the manual. It's like, nope, you need an account. So I was like, oh, that's annoying. Ended up having to click through like another link. Eventually, I did find the manual, but nowhere did it say I had to like adjust the weight for it or anything. And I know you're wondering, like, why did I even start this tangent? Well, I got myself the Minecraft vinyl, volume beta, which is one of my favorites. I might have talked about this before. Now that I think about it, I got myself volume beta. Because it was one of my. It has like a. Okay, I was gonna say I'm not picking up items, but I am. Got myself it. And I did try it with a couple of other records, but they sounded very poppy. Like lots of crackles, lots of noise. Not to mention the stylus was bent. Like the stylus is supposed to look like a straight line, but the one I bought kind of looked like well, it went a little bit straight. I hear you, zombie. Okay. It looked kind of like it went a little bit straight and then like off to the side like that. It did not look straight at all. So people would say, go buy another stylus, buy a new one. There's some cheap ones. And I was like, oh, maybe I should. And like, it still worked fine. And like, I got audio from it. But then I said, you know what? If I have to buy one, I might as well try this. So I kind of bent the stylus back into place. And it's very much straight. From like all 3 dimensions. From left, right, up, bottom, forward, backwards. It looked perfect enough. And it made the audio way better. So in the end, it worked out. I just had to bend it. Force it. Force the stylus to go straight. I'll keep on this rant in the next one.